welcome to the Week 4 edition of the Coach's Corner on Leominster TV. I'm Todd Robbins, joined as always by Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi as we get set to preview Week 4 action as Leominster battles Wachusett at Doyle Field. Long-awaited home opener of the season, Coach. Finally getting to go home 4 weeks into the year. It'll feel nice on Friday night.
Yeah, you know, it's about time. We always seem to have away games in September. You know, it's great in the fall, obviously, in Massachusetts, particularly at Doyle Field. So I know the kids are excited. We just, we have to be ready to play. We got a tough Wachusett team coming in here again. I mean, they, you know, 7-6 last year, so it's going to be a tough game for us, but we're excited to be home, certainly.
We'll have more on that coming up, but first we flash back to Week 3 action. A 36-0 loss for Leominster against a very tough Boston College high school team. And Coach, this game to me felt a little bit like quicksand. One thing, then another, and it just seemed to compound either a missed opportunity or a mistake, and they just piled up on one another throughout the night.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very good team. They did a nice job scouting us, and we just couldn't get out of our own way, really, offensively. I mean, our defense certainly did a nice job at the beginning of the game. They 3-and-outed their offense, and then we had an opportunity to do some things. We didn't take advantage, and kind of feeling each other out a little bit at the beginning of the game. And I thought if we can get a couple first downs and play the field position game, we might be able to get some things going. But it just didn't work out. And you know, I did think our defense played well at times. I mean, obviously we didn't control the quarterback. You know, I mean, he was a good player, and you know, we really geared up to stop the running back, and I think we did a good job of that. But overall, it just you know, kind of an unacceptable performance on our part, and we just have to get better and move on.
From an offensive standpoint, you mentioned the defense. Let's talk about the offensive side of the football. It seemed like every play was one play away from being successful, or every drive just needed one more play to break it free, because first half, or as bad as everything went, you were in a 15-0 football game, and certainly well within striking distance going into the second half. One play could have made the difference, or maybe one extra block allowing some opportunity. Was it just frustrating from an offensive standpoint because you felt like you were right there on the verge of the breakout and could never quite get it?
Yeah, and that comes with playing a great team. I mean, when you're playing a Division I program that's very good, they're very big, they're fast, there's not a lot of margin for error. I mean, you need to make all your blocks, you need to go through your reads, you need to give the quarterback time, you need to catch the football and make the right cuts and cut back as a running back. So collectively, you know, we didn't do a lot of those things on offense. And I told the guys, obviously, as the offensive coordinator, wasn't very happy with the result. And, you know, we just need to get better at what we're doing, because that's really what it takes. And, you know, as we progress into the season and towards the end of the year, I mean, we're going 5 straight in our league now. You know, there's not going to be a lot of margin for error there either. So, you know, we need to get used to it. We have a tough league schedule, and that's just the way it's going to be for the rest of the way.
Bit of an example, of course, of that being one play away has to be the play deep in right before halftime. You're in a situation where you bring back a play. You don't often bring back a play in the same half of the season. Usually you might reappear one later on in the year, but you were so close to converting that reverse flea flicker toss with Gray and Alan Link in Week 1. You come back in Week 3. It seemed like a perfect moment for it. It worked again, every bit of it, right until the very end. It's got to at least be encouraging that the play, design, route run, all those things work perfectly. You're one catch away from that play working.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4th down. We had another play called, and we call a timeout, and you know, we didn't have a lot of success running the ball inside, so I figured, you know, if we throw the toss out there and on 4th down, I don't think they'd be expecting that. But, you know, that's a situation we were in. We just needed something to get a quick score. I didn't think we were going to be able to grind it out against them. I thought we needed big plays. So I called the play, and the guy was on Allen's tail, and he had it for a minute there, and then it just, you know, hit his mask, and he didn't catch the ball. But you know, the high school kids, I tell the kids, I never get angry at physical errors. You know, they're trying to catch the ball. They're trying to block people. I mean, we'll yell at guys for not blocking, but that's only to motivate them to get tougher and bigger and faster and just do the right thing. But, you know, mental errors are a different story. And like you said, we physically executed the play. We gotta finish, and that's really what we're going to work on.
Yeah, when you move into the second half of that football game, there's not a lot that really went well for you as the second half of the game progressed. It was just one thing after another, and by that point, it seemed like they had figured out, you had made the adjustment perhaps to cope with their quarterback, who was kind of having a lot of success in the first half, and it just opened up opportunities for them with their running back, and then it was a back and forth. And then it really, I'm sure, from a defensive standpoint for you guys becomes, well, now what do we do? Which one are we going to block? Because we can't seem to stop either one.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go against a team like that with the weapons they had on offense and not do something from our perspective on offense. I mean, you can't continue to go 3 and out, throw incomplete passes, the clock stops, the game drags on, and your defense is on the field the whole night. And that's really how I looked at the game. I mean, it was difficult to call plays, and we just got to get better all the way around. The coaching has to get better, the playing has to get better, and you get humbled like this, you come back, and half the teams in the country lost last week, from high school all the way to the NFL, college. So half of those teams are where we're at this week. So we're just going to work hard and try to get better at what we do.
How's the mood been at practice starting today? Obviously, you had your film review. You hit the field again with them tomorrow. What's the mood like?
Yeah, the mood's great. I mean, they're glad to be home. Obviously, it was a long trip in there, and to get thrashed the way we did. I mean, I think the kids were a little upbeat today, but they were still down from the weekend. But I think we just transitioned them into this week and focusing on Wachusett and getting ready to play our league games, particularly at home. I mean, it's great to be home, particularly for the seniors. And, our crowd, we had a great crowd down there.
Absolutely.
We had a fan bus. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be excited to go down to Doyle Friday night. I'm kind of excited for it myself.
Before we completely dump the Boston College High School game, a question got posed to me that I didn't know the answer to, and I meant to throw out at you before we started. Is that game have a deal with a home and home? Will they be coming back in a future year to Doyle Field, or was it a one-year deal?
No, it was a 2-year deal.
Okay.
And we flipped a coin and we lost. So that was our third away game. Our athletic director flipped the coin. I said, couldn't you just say it was the other one? just for the heck of it, say it was tails. And then we would have ended up at home, but what are you going to do?
So it goes. The life is determined by the toss of a coin. A 36-0 loss to BC High. Leominster now 2-1 on this early season. Take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Blue Devils. We've been alluding to it here, and the good news is the first gauntlet of the season is concluded. 3 road games out of the way. 2 wins, 1 loss for the Blue Devils going into week 4, and now 3 straight home games in weeks 4, 5, and 6 with Wachusett, Algonquin, and Shepherd Hill. 3 very tough football teams who are off to very tough starts. September the 30th, October the 7th, and October the 14th, respectively. All of them 7 o'clock kickoffs at Doyle Field. Coach, as we said, it doesn't get easier when you get into the league schedule. You just mentioned 5 straight weeks you're playing league games. They're all going to matter down the stretch here. And you've got 2 teams over the next 2 weeks, Wachusett and Algonquin, who are off to rocket fire starts.
Yeah, I mean, this league does not get easier year in and year out. And, when you know each other, it's back to what I just said. You have to block better and throw and run better and play defense better, because when both teams know each other, it really comes down to plays and hanging on to the football and turnovers and all that. But, it should be exciting. I mean, why do we do this? We love the challenge. We want to play in this league, and we're going to go out there and play our hearts out Friday night and see what happens.
All right, before we turn our attention to week 4 action, we're going to play a little game here with Coach. Coach, of course, is an educator by day, so that means he gets to assign grades on a daily basis in health class. We're going to assign some grades, Coach, to the football team thus far. 5 categories that we're going to consider: offense, defense, special teams, coaching, and intangibles. Starting with your offense, Coach, through the first third of the season, would you say exemplary, proficient, a work in progress, or needs improvement?
Can I get extra credit?
Absolutely. We have to give it to you.
Yeah,
you have a plan that allows it for you.
Exactly. I think we're definitely a work in progress on offense. I mean, we've done some things. We scored 30 and 28 points and then got shut out. But, you know, it's a long season, and we're playing different teams. So, you know, we're trying to get our identity, I guess, so to speak. So we are a work in progress, but some of the things we're doing, we're pretty proficient at. But I'll go with work in progress.
All right, let's flip over to the other side of the football. On the defensive side of things, we had said right off the start in week 1, defense was going to be a huge identity of this football team. How do you rate your defense through 3 weeks?
You know, I would again, I'd say a work in progress. Some of the things were proficient, but again, we gave up a couple last-minute touchdowns in the Doherty game and Oakmont, and you know, some breakdowns. But you know, our defense has been playing pretty well against the run. I think improved from last year. It's just we faced some teams that like to throw the ball a little bit, and then you know, you have a dual threat last week. So you know, I don't think anybody's going to see a quarterback running back threat like last week. So I'm pretty proud of where we're headed with that defense. We just you know, got to get back at it. We're missing 2 starters in Kalina and Price. I mean, those are huge hits. So, you know, I think they're doing the best they can back there, and they're doing a nice job.
Before we move on, quick update on both Kalina and Price. Long-term prognosis looking better at all?
We'll see. I mean, they got to get evaluated this week and see if they'll be ready to go Friday night. I'm hoping at least one of them can be back. But, you know, this is how we've been playing the last 3 weeks, so we'll just continue to play and next man up.
Next man up theory. All right, third phase of the game, special teams. This is where everyone gets to chip in a little bit. Certainly have been some flashes here. What do you think about special teams?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to say proficient. Outside of the kick return against Doherty, I think you know, our kicking game's been Mike's done a real nice job. Mike Foster kicking the ball deep and high, and we're getting down there, but there's always room for improvement. But I think our return teams brought it out to the 35 to 40, you know, a lot of the time. So, you know, from a field position perspective, I think, you know, we're pretty proficient in that, but we really, you know, we need to improve on that as well. But hopefully we can, you know, get some scores or some points out of the special teams. I'm
going to take a second to add a couple of kudos here, because a couple of guys who have certainly been standing out on special teams, in addition to Mike Foster's, you know, job as a place kicker. Got to mention Travis Storm. You mentioned a little bit about kick return and able to turn the field a little bit. Done a nice job on kickoff, getting you guys out of the shadow of your own goal line, finding spots. What's the key? You're a return man coming up field. You got to make the decision about fielding the football first. Once you've made that decision, what are you looking for as you're starting to work your way up the field?
You're just trying to, you know, get to the outside, hash number sidelines, and find a crease and go and get upfield, and you know, really kind of set the blocks up, and you know, start out one way and then go to the other way, whichever, you know, we get a right or left call or a middle return on. But you know, really, it takes time to see it develop, and you have to have done it for a while. You can't just get the ball and run straight ahead, because then, you know, you got to kind of zigzag your way through and help your blockers, because it's particularly last week with the high and deep kicks. I mean, those guys got to hold their blocks for a while by the time he gets the ball. So I think you hit the nail on the head. Travis has been, you know, done a nice job for us back there in his returns.
While we're talking about changing field position, I'm going to bring it up for another week on this show. Anthony Dandini's punting ability has certainly made a difference, and probably set you guys up in the first half of last week's game when you were struggling on offense. Were able to change field position. Instead of giving the ball up in your own territory, he was able to push them back a little bit, send them making over-the-shoulder plays, trying to get them to set up a return, and actually gave your defense a chance to get down the field and cover on those plays.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I mean, he had some great punts last week. You know, I mean, really to kind of keep us in the game. You know, if he doesn't have those punts to kind of pin them down by the 20 or the 30-yard line, whatever it was. But you know, getting 40, 45-yard punts and some of those things was pretty good for a high school kid. And, you know, we just, you know, we got to try to hold them down there on defense and then take advantage of the field position game that you're trying to play, you know.
I know you still hate that punt game. I know you do. I understand. I certainly do. All right, so self-reflection time. You and the coaching staff through 3 weeks. Are you happy with where you guys are at? Would you like to see something a little bit better? Where are you at when you sit there and envision what's been going on from a decision-making standpoint on the sideline?
Yeah, I think, you know, we got to get better as coaches. You know, it's kind of difficult with this team in a sense where, you know, we have a lot of guys, first-year guys playing, and it's kind of different than in the past with some of the receivers and the running back things, and, you know, Kalina getting hurt, and we have a sophomore back there, Adam Couchman, doing a nice job, but, you know, we have 2 captains, so it's trying to figure that out, but, you know, I got to do a better job in putting us in a position to win and be successful on offense. I mean, last week was not good, and you know, our other coaches feel the same way. I mean, we're in it with the kids. I mean, we need to we need to get better at what we're doing, and we're not perfect, but you know, the kids know that. I mean, we want to win more than anything, and we're going to work harder and try to make the calls a little better and set us up and put us in positions to be successful.
I think one of the great things that maybe people don't get a chance to appreciate because they're not down on the field, they don't get a chance to see the sidelines pre-game, post-game, is to see your coaching staff working with the players and the amazing dynamic, the mixture of the staff that you've assembled. And of course, some of the pieces have gone to other places and what have you. But generally speaking, that kind of core group continues to come back year after year after year as part of your staff, and just how much love they have for the game, the different viewpoints. You have an older, more classic viewpoint of the game. You have some newer, younger viewpoints on the game. It's a great balance, and of course, they mesh fantastically well with the players.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you got to get these teenagers, you know, shuffling in and out of the game and keeping them in the game, and just really, you know, it's all about game coaching, and you can prepare all you want, but in the middle of the game, when a team is doing something to you and you need to stop it, you know, you need to make sideline adjustments. I've always thought my Coach Murphy and my Coach Mercier, you know, do a nice job at that, just identifying what's going on in the game, and Coach O'Day and Coach Meza and Navarro. I mean, all my coaches, you know, I think that's one of our strengths, but you know, with that said, I mean, you're only as good as your last game. Right now, we're not that good, so you know, we gotta move ahead and do a better job.
Frustration comes in all kinds. I understand that. So the last one, the fifth and final category in this progress report, Coach, is the intangibles. This could be anything. This is the stuff on the field, off the field, away from the game, away from the X's and O's. How do you feel you've done with the intangibles in the game thus far?
Well, I think you know, one of the intangibles were all these kids that got opportunities. Mike Viola at corner, and Adam Couch at running back, and you know, Connor Marchand's been in there, and a lot of the newer linemen that have been playing, and you know, Del Judas at linebacker. So I think just those types of things, not expecting those kids to get a lot of playing time this year. Really, I think they've done a great job, and I think it's come down. Most of that's gone to the Coach Mercier and Coach Murphy, the linebackers, coaches, and Coach Meza with the DBs. So, you know, I think that is a positive. I mean, they're still young. I mean, those kids, sophomores and juniors. I mean, Del Judas and Marchand and Couch are all sophomores. Viola's a junior, but they're all, you know, varsity starters for the first time, up playing a lot. You know,
a great opportunity to see them in game action, which I know you love. It's one thing to see a player develop from the freshman program to the JV program to the varsity program. It's quite another when they make that step from JV to varsity and they get some game action in big games like this. Certainly have had spots to step into, and they've had the chance to prove themselves.
Yeah, and you got to realize, I mean, they're young. It's the first time they're playing. I mean, you may not see it from in the stands when they're playing, but I can certainly see it, you know, when they ask, Coach, what do I do again? You know, something like that. Where do I go? Because, you know, we do a lot of different things. But I think they've taken the challenge and they've met it head on, and they're really doing a nice job for us.
No question about that. That's Coach P's progress report. We'll check in on that in a few weeks' time. In the meantime, let's take a look around the region as we get set for Week 4 action. 4 games we'll be keeping an eye on out there around the region this week. Groton Dunstable finds themselves at Fitchburg this week over at Crocker Field. Shepherd Hill plays host to Algonquin. That should be a very interesting battle we'll talk about in a minute. St. John's goes on the road to Neshoba on Friday night, and then Marlborough travels to Colonial Field in Shrewsbury for a Shrewsbury-Marlborough matchup. Coach, that Algonquin-Shepherd Hill game probably as much interesting as it was watching last week's away from our game, Shepherd Hill-Wachusett game. It's a mix, obviously, of your 3 opponents over the next couple of weeks. Those 2 very immediately in your near future in weeks 5 and 6. Certainly 2 teams that are going to be in front of you, and Algonquin might be the hottest team in the league right now. They were the team maybe a little on the far outside, stalking the pack, and they've exploded out of the gates here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you progress through the season, you see the different matchups. I mean, some teams, they don't match up well against each other, but, you know, that should be a good tilt. I mean, Shepherd Hill lost a tough one to Wachusett, but Lindstrom's a great coach, and, you know, I think he'll do a nice job this weekend. But Algonquin, you're right. I mean, they've improved tremendously over the last 3 years. They have a solid program. The coach has been there for 3 or 4 years now, so, you know, they're drinking the Kool-Aid down there, and we know what happens, you know, when kids believe and they really play. So, you know, we'll see how that works out. And then you have the regular, you know, league games, St. John's and Neshoba and those games. But, you know, the dual league, the head-to-head league matchup, that should be the one that's going to be most interesting.
Yeah, as you look at some of these, of course, now non-league matchups like a St. John's Neshoba game that in a prior year was a league game is now a non-league game. Sad to see that those two are not competing and angling for a playoff spot. They can affect each other's playoff futures, but sadly not in the same league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people probably get confused like I get confused, but you know, we got St. John's, Leominster, Wachusett, Algonquin, Shepherd Hill, and Shrewsbury in our league. 16.
That's it.
and we play the next 5 games. Are obviously we don't play against ourselves.
That's
so
correct.
We play the next 5 games are, you know, our league. So this is crunch time Friday night and throughout our league. I mean, I'm sure obviously you want to win games out of league because you get points and things like that, and that's what it comes down to, you know, for the playoffs. But you know, the league games are huge.
Jockeying for the very end, and we begin it with Week 4 action. It's Wachusett coming to Doyle Field to take on the Leominster Blue Devils. Should be a fantastic battle. Coach, this Wachusett team, they've got a 3-0 record. Their win over Tantascwa in Week 1, 42-0. Win over Fitchburg, 35-19. Squeaker over Shepherd Hill last week, 28-21, and it took a late touchdown in that game for Wachusett to eventually pull that game out. And one of the things that they've got is that hybrid double wing offense. It's a classic. It's a little bit of an older model, but Coach Mike Dobzinski and his squad always seems to run it very well. They've got a large heaping of passes that are included in that bunch, and Mike Fiorelli is a capable dual-threat quarterback. He can run, he can distribute the football, he can throw the ball down the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're well coached. They always play Leominster tough, and you know, we just need to really focus on our key reads this week, and you know, basically offensively, we got to get something going. I mean, we really can't do what we did last week, but you know, we look for a big game Friday night. I mean, they always come in here and you know, whether we're there or here, they always play us well. They scout us well and they prepare well. But they're a good team. I mean, they're 3-0 and we're 2-1. So, you know, it's an important game for us.
One of the things they know how to do is distribute the football. So we mentioned Fiorelli, the quarterback, kind of the point guard, if you will, on offense. He distributes the ball where it needs to go, but he's got some potent rushers behind him in this double wing. He's got Josh Furtado, had 120 yards and 3 touchdowns in a win over Shepherd Hill, and then Cole Durkin, 4 touchdowns over the first 3 games, certainly have shown strong lights. There's probably 2 or 3 more names behind them as well that could potentially go in there. With all those different weapons, when the ball is going to be snapped and then it's going to be hidden, then all of a sudden it could go here, it could go there. How important is it for your defense to track the football from the snap this week?
Yeah, you have to read your keys and you have to get to where you're supposed to be, and you can't guess. I mean, it's not a team that you want to guess, because as soon as that happens, somebody breaks wide open, or you know, they slip the ball to the fullback and he's going the other way and half our team's going the wrong way. So, you know, that's kind of what they did in the film against Shepherd Hill. So we really have to be you know, on our A game and go through our reads this week. I know Coach Murphy went over a lot of that stuff today, and the guys are getting, you know, ramped up for a good couple days of practice, full pads, and then obviously Thursday we'll go through a lot of the mental and the kicking game, but we really need to step it up this week.
Having had a chance to review the video between Shepherd Hill and Wachusett, that great game last week, 2 classic run-based offenses, what stuck out to you for first Wachusett, and then we can talk about Shepherd Hill in the coming weeks?
I think just the way Wachusett plays. I mean, they play with intensity, they play with a sense of purpose, and they play together. And that's really the key. I don't care what offense you're running, they run what they run well. They fly to the ball on defense. They don't really get out of position. They know what they're doing on both sides of the ball, and they do it well. And you know, that's who Wachusett is. And you know, Shepherd Hill is a physical football team, but you know, really Wachusett just hung in there, and they just basically took advantage of a few things, and just, you're right, they did squeak out a win, but you know, that was an evenly matched game, could have gone either way, and they got it to 3-0. So, you know, that's what we're up against this Friday night.
Yes, indeed. And as a offensive-minded coach, you've got an interesting defense to square yourself up against, because they were certainly overselling and packing the box to stop the run against Shepherd Hill, where you had 8 guys in the box, mostly a 5-3 look up front. They could have dropped back into a 4-4 they have in years past against you guys. Do you expect them to play that heavy run-based, you know, pack the box up front? I think they're going to spread the defense out a little bit more.
Oh, they're going to pack the box, and when they think we're going to throw, they're going to send the house like they did last year and try to keep us down to nothing or 7 points. I mean, that's, you know, that's how they play football. I mean, they're going to hit us in the mouth, and they're going to, you know, dare us to do things and chase our quarterback around. And if we don't block people, it's going to be a long night for our quarterback. So, you know, we really, they've played different things. They played 3-3, they played 4-2-5, they played 4-4, a 53 look. They really changed it up on us last year. So, you know, who knows what they'll do. We just have to identify what they're going to be in and try to take advantage of some things, and, you know, we'll see.
How difficult is that? I mean, obviously football has changed a little bit over the years because a lot of the decision making now doesn't rely solely on your quarterback. You'll have times where they come up to the line. You as an offense get a chance to take a look at their defense. You could take a timeout, discuss it, and maybe go back out after it. No guarantees you get the same lineup when you go back out there. Or they can turn to the sideline if you get enough time on the play clock. You can maybe send in a signal. That's a little different than things in years past because you're not relying solely on the players on the field to make the decision. You're able to kind of chime in a little bit.
Yeah, and that's really why a lot of teams do the no huddle, so that defenses, they don't have time to signal things in. The guys get tired. They can change plays at the line. You know, a lot of those things. I mean, we have some of that stuff in, but we're really, you know, like I said, it's a work in progress, I guess, Todd.
True story. That's a true story. Yeah, that's what we had already discussed. Oh, dear. Well, that work will come to progress this Friday night. Back at Doyle Field. It's homecoming. It's thank God we're home because we're tired of traveling. We've got our frequent flyer or busing miles, as the case may be. It's the Blue Devils and the Mountaineers this Friday night at Doyle Field. Countdown to kickoff is on the air at 6:30 on the K-Zone, WPKZ, AM 1280 and 105.3 FM, and streaming live the world over at WPKZ.net. Leominster TV will be with us for replay coverage throughout the week and weekend as well. But most importantly, the message from Coach Palazzi and myself as coach: get out to Doyle Field and be a part of this. We want to see the biggest crowd of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you know, these fans, they beg for Doyle Field in the fall and in September, particularly when it's not too cold. But we hope to see a great crowd. We've had tremendous student body support. I mean, the bus that went to Oakmont and then to BC High. So I really expect a big crowd, and it should be great for the city of Leominster, great for Leominster High School, and, you know, everybody that attends the game. I look forward to it.
Blue Devils and Mountaineers kick off week 4 of action, 7 o'clock Friday night at Doyle Field. We'll be back next week for the Week 5 edition of the Coach's Corner here on Leominster TV. I want to thank Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi for another great week. And until next time, I am Todd Robbins saying thank you so very much for joining us here on the Coach's Corner. Until next week, so long, everybody.